It's OTA rookie camp season, and we're going to take a look at the Washington Commanders and get our first look at Jacory Croskey-Merritt. Watch him work through some drills, carry the ball around, and everything else. Before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're looking at what your players are doing behind the scenes. Those rookies, those vets, rookie camp, mini camp, training camp, OTAs, workouts, whatever they're doing at practice, it will be right here. Whatever I find, I will show. Click that button. Stop missing out. We're looking at Croskey-Merritt right here. We got a lot to talk about here. For a 7th round running back, there's a lot to discuss. We got 43 seconds of clips. Let's watch him work out. Let's see what's under the hood here. There we go. We got the feet. We're looking at a running back prospect that's in a situation where it's a little bit ambiguous if injuries hit, where we can climb a depth chart. A lot of people is watching him to see what he's going to do. A lot of people got him as that late round dart throw running back in their rookie drafts for the Commanders, the running back to watch, that if attrition hits this depth chart, could be the running back that sneaks out of nowhere. Limited production this year, limited as like on the upper end. He wasn't eligible for most of the season, but at New Mexico, we were solid. I'll say what I see out of him is good contact balance, but the dead leg is lethal. He sells it well right when the guy's in front of him, breaks it off. He sells it dipping that shoulder in, looking the other way, good head fake in, sells it with his eyes, and then boop, hits it the other way, hits it quick, gets it good yards there, creating that missed tackle or potential missed tackle, however PFF would score that. But he gets you yards in the open field with that. Going back to the Shrine game practices, he was turning heads. He was looking good, especially from what I've read. I've seen some clips, but it wasn't really much of a sample to really get a good gauge. But from what I've read, he's looking good. The feet's looking good. Feet is huge. I'm going to look at that drill again, which will loop back to that. Watching there on the bags. I want to look back at that. But 7th round pick, NFL.com had it projected to be a 5th round selection. What I like is what he does in space in the open field with that dead leg. I like the depth chart here. Austin Eckler, can we get a full season out of him? We got Brian Robinson. We could get a full season out of him. But running backs are running backs. Running backs get banged up. That is why they don't get paid as often as other positions. And that's why they'll fall in the draft a little bit, even though they could be talented. Feet's good. Feet's good. Now, we're not talking like an Ashton Genty type of talents. Keep in mind, I do stay very positive when talking about just about everything in life, so I don't want to stray you away from that. Limited productivity last year. Again, positive. He wasn't eligible, barely got any time playing. Good production the year prior. 17 touchdowns, 1,700 yards if I remember right off the top of my head. Limited production in the receiving game. However, that's just numbers. That doesn't mean we can't catch the ball. That does not mean we can make guys miss in the open field. Catching the ball in the flat should be a prerequisite to even playing in the NFL at running back. Like, there's very few running backs who's ever played the game that couldn't. But a top-tier route runner, that's hard to do at the running back position. We do get them here and there that are actual receiving weapons. Catch the ball at the flat. That dead leg, if there's space, he can create something to happen there. If we're getting checkdowns, Jaden Daniels good at pushing it downfield, though. But what we're seeing out of him is a guy on a depth chart where if attrition hits, could be a sneaky acquisition for you, especially with his vision once he hits that second level. And again, what I watched from where he was at New Mexico was that dead leg. That dead leg was nasty. And what he does, he sells it well. Like, he's a few feet in front, maybe a yard or so, and looks into the defender's eyes. Fake shoulder inside with the head bop. Knees in, going to that way. Complete sell. Then we pivot to the other way. Breaks up the defender every time almost. He just does that. I'm not saying he's a one-trick pony, but that is the trait that stands out. And he'll do it in the hole. He'll do it during the approach line of scrimmage. Get those extra yards, make guys miss. He'll do it to get to the hole, to sell that he's going another way. He's very good with that dead leg. Now, we're a 7th round selection, but I've been preaching this whole draft that we're going to see a running back in the later rounds that exceeds expectations, and it could be a running back that we're not thinking about during the draft process. This is a deep running back class with a lot of talent. Teams are going to sit in their hands on the draft. They're going to let some running backs fall. Due to that, they're going to take their values. They're going to take guys that fits their depth chart. Looking at him, we're at a position here where if attrition hits or if things get a little rough in season, you might be seeing him on the field. This is a running back to pay attention to during OTAs, minicamp, and training camp to see how he's transitioning. Now, let's talk in the negative because I am being very positive with his potential range of outcomes. We've seen this happen before. Kamani Vidal last year. It's not a comparison. More like, hey, running back A in good situation. If this, and this happens, gets opportunity, it doesn't fire. But that is the negative. But to argue against that negative, if you notice, I just keep doing analysis back and forth. To argue against that negative is we're in the potential range of outcomes that we can paint a picture where we could potentially see him getting reps on the field, and that's better than a lot of 7th rounders. So that's something to take note. So if you're looking at this for Dynasty Fantasy Football analysis, late round dart throw. Nothing bad about that. You just pick the late round dart throws you want. Really depends on how many drafts you have, how many leagues you're in, and how deep your drafts are and leagues are. That really depends. If I'm in a lot of leagues, I'm diversifying running backs, especially my late round options, considering injuries are the main thing. Running back A can be better than running back B, but running back B could have a better productive career for fantasy football terms due to the starters going down. It is what it is. That's the game. That's part of the game now. And that could happen. He could be more productive than some round 4 running backs just due to injuries and circumstances. That could potentially happen, and that's not a forecast. That's just football life. That's football. That's why they play the game. That's why they're called late round dart throws. But you can definitely paint a picture to that. Staying open-minded to that. I gave you the negative. It is what it is. That's what it is for all late rounders. I guess you can say he's a late rounder. That's part of it. And you're seeing at the depth chart, there's potential that we could be in it to get some touches here middle of the season. It might be for a few games. He might excel. Alfred Morris excelled. Alfred Morris, former Redskin or Commander, however you want to call it. I don't care. I don't really care. I just watch ball. But that's not a comparison, but that is a light to say keep your options open, keep your mind open. You do UDFAs and 7th round picks this year, 6th rounders, because you're catching good talents in the later rounds. You're catching talents that's going into good situations. You're catching talents that might surprise you. There will probably be a couple later round running backs that surprise you this year. Redraft, lottery ticket, deeper leagues. You're watching from afar, from your drafts. You're watching in season. You might end up picking them up here and there. You might be doing that. Injuries will probably happen. There should be more injuries around the NFL at the running back position this year. Running backs were injured on the low last year. That is something to note. They were injured on a much lower rate compared to other seasons. So it should at least go back to average, or maybe even close to average. Maybe it's still low, but maybe it's just up a little bit. But it'll feel more. It'll feel like more. You'll be chasing those running backs a little bit more. And that could not happen this year. It could be next year. But it's eventually going to go to average unless we get a new average. But that's going to take years to get to a new average. So right now, average is average. That's what I'm saying. So we could get back to average or old average or whatever average is because we are going back to committees. We are going back to more committees. Shared backfield, shared touches with a lot of these teams. But I'm saying injuries were down last year, and they're going to feel like they're coming up even if they go to average or even below average still. That's something to note. So we should see more running backs go down this year. That's not a prediction. That's just really saying the numbers and calling that out. Calling it out because this happens. This is everything, right? This is everything. Down, you eventually come back up. You go back down, up. It's not a prediction. It's just it just is what it is. But really, when you're looking at him for the Washington Commanders, you got good depth. He's got a killer dead leg. To have that killer dead leg, you got to have good vision, good timing, good anticipation. We got some good stoutness to his frame. Twitched up a little bit. Got some notice during the Shrine game. There's some good things here. Let me know what you think about him in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.